Hey, now, good people, what is up? My name is Jeremy. That is Drew on the other side. Brother, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. We look like we're really close today. Like,
We are really
we are
close. We're like
zoomed in.
zoomed
Like,
in.
it's freaking me out, and I'm sure it's freaking out the people watching at home there.
I would be freaked out. There we
I
go.
mean, if I was scrolling through Twitter or Facebook and all of a sudden I'm like real close like that, and so I'd be like, Jesus God, I'd be scared. I'd be like, never mind. We're not even going to get into what I was about to say. Let's get in the show right off the bat, okay? Let's get in the wild card weekend. Let's talk football. What do you think about wild card weekend? What are some of your takeaways?
I mean, for the most part, it was kind of bad, right? As far as game wise,
Mm-hmm.
you could argue. I mean, you could argue, of course. I think the best game. I don't even know if it's an argument. Would have been the Vegas Raiders and Cincinnati game. That game was by far the best game. Besides that, I mean, the Cowboys kind of fought back to make it a game. Everything else just wasn't very good.
Yeah.
But I think this weekend's going to be way better, right? The matchups this weekend look way better, and I think it's one of the better on paper weekends we're going to have, in the playoffs for quite some time.
I mean, we're getting down to the final eight, so yeah, it should be better off the bat. But going into last weekend, I expected some good games. I mean, I thought at least we'd have one score games in most of them. And we had one, two, three, four of the six games were blowouts.
Yep.
I mean, and you can argue. I mean, yeah, the Raiders had a chance at the end. That game felt Bengals most of the way, and yeah, the Bengals got a touchdown that I guess shouldn't have counted and should have been a tie game, but that didn't happen that way. Niners Cowboys was a Niners game most of the way, ended up being a one score game. We'll get into that one and what you can do in 14 seconds and what you can't do in 14 seconds. Steelers Chiefs went the way we expected, and then the
Yeah.
Rams just whooped the Cardinals. I mean, that wasn't even a fun Monday night game outside of
It's
if you were watching the Manning cast.
it was terrible. What's funny about the Steelers game? I mean, the Steelers scored first with a defensive touchdown, and you're like, okay, well, maybe this will be better than we thought. But then it was like, well, the Steelers still can't do anything offensively.
No.
So yeah, that one was expected, but I mean, and I guess you could say that you expected the Buccaneers to kind of beat up on the Eagles. Um, would you say the most shocking game to you would be what the Bills did to New England?
Absolutely. Because I mean, I said it here on the show last week. I picked the Patriots. I thought Bill would go in there.
Dumb pick, dude. That was a
Hey,
dumb pick.
I went with the Drew Ward thinking of, hey, they're playing like Buffalo's playing like a dome team. It's going to be cold. And then all of a sudden they just go in there and they're like, you know what? We're not even going to punt. Punters stay home. We're just going to whoop up on the Bill and the Patriots here. And
yeah,
Cats were never in that game.
No, and it's like, so I think the Bills are weird. So, because I do think we talk about weather, we talk about how they play like a dome team, but I mean, it was like 0 degrees, but like the other conditions weren't there, right? Like they didn't have to deal with a lot of wind. It wasn't raining, and Josh Allen just kind of sat back there and picked them apart.
Yep.
So I guess, as far as the narrative that they play like a dome team, maybe it's not all true, but I certainly think when you start to add in some sort of elements of the ball being wet, it's a little harder to throw the ball. I didn't think they had any issue, either team, except, I mean, Mac Jones wasn't good, but either team had to deal with any of those elements as far as the passing game. I thought it was a pretty kind of normal game from that perspective.
No, and the Bills are finally using Devin Singletary. It's like, hey, this guy was one of the top guys for as far as yards per average in football, running and catching 2 years ago. Last year they forgot he existed. Most of this year they're like, oh damn, you're still on the roster, bud. Okay, let's start getting you the ball here.
They kept trying to like force this Zach Moss piece in, and it was like, well, this isn't working. And like I feel like they never committed to like one guy pretty much for the first 3 quarters of the year. And so I think when that happens, maybe it's one of those deals where, hey, now they have some sort of fresh legs or fresher legs in Singletary now that we're in the postseason.
Zach Moss looks like the guy you'd want in Buffalo. He's a big burly dude who can carry the rock, but he fumbles too much.
Yeah, and he doesn't hit any home run plays, right? It's just a bunch of singles. And so I think Singletary's a little different.
Singletary's the home run hitter.
Yep, for sure. I also want to make another mention real quick. Cam Akers, right? That was pretty impressive on Monday night.
100%. I mean, this is season-ending injury, and this dude's like 5 months later just killing it. He looked explosive. He looked quick. He looked like he didn't lose a step. I mean, at times he might even look faster. I don't know if it was just the adrenaline flowing or what it was, but Cam Akers looked damn good for a guy coming off an Achilles injury 5 months ago.
Exactly. Like, that was the thing. So, like, not only did he have what seemed to be speed, but he ran angry, right? And it's just like, and for him to come back and play the amount of snaps he did, I think he got close to 20 touches, if I'm not mistaken. And not lose, he wasn't gassed. He looked really, really good. I mean, I know that they were able to kind of do what they wanted against Arizona. So Arizona, which was my sweet pick that I made, now it looks pretty bad.
Yeah. I mean, Arizona, they look good all year, and then they started faltering down the stretch. Was it that they lost DeAndre Hopkins and they lost a guy who could pull coverage from one side and allow Kyler to run loose? And when Kyler was moving in the pocket, Nuke always found his way back to him. He always made sure there was a guy open, or he drew the coverage away from him to leave Christian Kirk or someone like that open. Or is it that the schemes just never changed and the rest of the league caught up with them? What do you think happened there with Arizona?
I mean, the short answer, Dan Campbell ruined them. I mean, listen, the Lions did kind of put out somewhat of a blueprint on how to play them, and Kyler Murray just looked completely rattled, and not just halfway through the game. I mean, he immediately was rattled. He didn't settle down whatsoever. The interception he threw, that pick six, was just the whole play,
shortest
the way
pick six in NFL postseason history.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically like, here's the ball on the 2-yard line. Just go ahead and run in with it. But
it was nearly Wentzian.
Like everything he was doing was rushed. And they didn't do him any favors. They didn't run the ball well at all. James Conner, who has been and had a really good season, he just wasn't there. And then Stafford was next to perfect. And they kind of did whatever they wanted. So it was an uphill battle. And then when, you have the defensive unit that the Rams have, and kind of those guys that are up front, especially with Aaron Donald, like, you get down like that, and those guys, they're just pinning their ears back and coming after you. And your routes take longer to develop. And it just kind of was like a snowball effect for the Cardinals, in my opinion. It just couldn't get worse, just kept getting worse and worse and worse, throughout the game.
Yeah, and that was a weird game for both of us. I mean, the two stars really that everyone's talking about from LA is former Detroit Lion Matt Stafford and former Cleveland Brown Odell Beckham Jr. And now Staff was playing like the guy you expected him to play like in LA. And now all of a sudden everyone's talking about, OBJ, it's career resurgence. Is it a career resurgence, or is this guy finally in the spot he wants to be, showing up every day, playing like that? Or what's going on? What do you think the difference is for OBJ from your point of view?
I think Matt Stafford does a way better job of getting guys involved, A. You're also going to Sean McVay, which finds a way to get guys in the right position and gets them opportunities. They run a lot of plays. I don't want to say designed for Odell, but there's certainly a handful of plays every game where he's the guy they're trying to get the ball in his hands. Is he the same player he was? No. But with Matt Stafford and his ability, I mean, look at Kenny Golladay, for example. Kenny Golladay got paid a ton of money. Matt Stafford got him paid a ton of money. And now Kenny Golladay had 0 touchdowns for the entire season. So, like, you're definitely upgrading a quarterback, and you're upgrading an offensive play caller. And he was just kind of put in, and he wasn't asked to do much, right? I mean, we're going to get you some plays. We're going to get the ball in your hands in space and see what happens. And it just seemed to progress as far as that relationship goes, over the past, 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, absolutely. And something you brought up was they're finding a way to get him the ball. And in Cleveland, it wasn't that they couldn't find a way to get him the ball. It's that they weren't getting the ball because Baker couldn't be accurate. I mean, you look all the way back to the Minnesota game where he's streaking down the right sideline, wide open, and Baker underthrew him by like 15 yards, and he had to slam on the brakes. Now with Matt Stafford, you hit it right on the head. Matt Stafford hit him on a dime in the end zone. Couldn't have placed that ball on the fade any better than what he did. And then on a beautiful wheel route where Arizona, I almost called him Carolina, Arizona was completely confused on the play because you started with Odell in the slot. He wheeled out to the outside. Matt Stafford drops a perfect dime, like
in between the safety.
unbelievable.
Yeah,
It was just an unbelievable
impressive.
pass. You're absolutely right. It is the Stafford difference there.
I mean, Stafford
Now,
can make every arm talent wise. It's never been a question,
yeah.
right? Like he's one of like maybe the 4 or 5 quarterbacks that can make literally all the throws. And Baker Mayfield's not quite like that. Like, but the problem is too with Matt Stafford is Matt Stafford attempts to make all the throws, and a lot of the time that ends up, costing his team the football. So you kind of take the good with the bad, and like nights like Monday night are the Stafford games you love. I've seen many of them over time, and then you just hope throughout this stretch that the other Stafford game doesn't show up where he's throwing interceptions, pick sixes, and things of that nature.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see how different he is this week when they travel to face Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers, easy win for them for the most part. Jalen Hurts was rattled most of the game. Not a lot of help from his receivers.
Yeah, they're terrible. The receivers are awful.
Brady was just Brady in that game. Yes,
Yeah.
Tristan Wirfs hurt. They're down on that left side of the offense or the right side of the offensive line right now, but Tampa still rolled in that game.
Playoff Lenny coming back now too.
Yeah, you're getting Lenny back. They're going to have to run the football. We'll talk more about this when we preview the divisional round a little later, but they're going to have to run the football. Now, the one game I do want to talk about before we move on from this is let's talk Cowboys-Niners for a lot of reasons. That ended up being a pretty good game. It was mostly Niners the whole game. They lost Nick Bosa to a concussion. I mean, you lost Fred Warner for some plays towards the end of the game. I don't think he came back. But the Niners still did what they needed to do. Jimmy Garoppolo made a dumb Jimmy Garoppolo play. But Deebo Samuel, just an absolute stud. I still think he got that first down towards the end.
I do too.
And then it's 23-17. Dallas gets the ball back. Dallas moves down the field.
They're moving.
Lightning quick to get down the
man.
field. And then with 14 seconds left, they have the ball they're at midfield, somewhere around midfield. You're playing the team that has committed the most defensive pass interference plays in the entire league, 32 DPI, I believe, on the season for the Niners. You got 2 chances to throw it in the end zone, or you try to get closer. What they chose to do, for those of you who don't know, and I doubt anybody who cares about football at all does not know about this, is they take 14 seconds. 14 seconds starting now. This is what you can do in 14 seconds. You have this little conversation. We still got time going. Dak gets the ball, runs a quarterback draw, slides inside the 30-yard line, and now we're at 14 seconds. That's what I did in 14 seconds. Dak, rather than getting up and giving the ball to the umpire so he can set the ball, hands it to his center, tries to get under center, clock runs out, Cowboys lose. People lose their shit inside AT&T Stadium. Cowboys are upset because they think the officials cost him the game.
Dak had words too after the game, which was very out of character for Dak.
Yeah, and of course, he came out today and apologized for them because everyone's got to come back and apologize for them. He can't just say that he was pissy after the game. It's got to be, that was out of character for me, and I apologize.
It was out of character, but
it is.
Again, this is what happens when you toss a microphone in somebody's face after all the work they put in for an entire season,
exactly.
20 minutes after the game. So it's kind of, or it's what you're going to get. And shit, I don't blame him.
You can blame the refs if you want, but you're wrong. The refs did not cost the Cowboys that football game.
Oh, no. I mean, again,
at that point.
And that's assuming they were going to score, right? Yeah. Like that's assuming that even if they spiked that ball, that they were going to score, and they were still at like a 20 or 25 yard line, if I remember correctly. Yep. So and also you have 60 minutes to go out there and play, get yourself in position to win. And listen, the last thing any of us want to do, and we didn't even actually talk about this, is we don't want the refs to control the game in the narrative, which is exactly what happened in Cincinnati, and it was terrible. Right. And so the last thing you want the refs to do. So of course, I wouldn't like to end on what you could say is a controversial call or, the ref, they're running into everybody. But at the same time, A, you weren't guaranteed to score there. Yep. And B, it's just, you have 60 minutes to get this figured out. You can't blame the last 2 seconds of the game and say you got hosed.
Dallas has many reasons for losing that game. One, you had 15 penalties. And they weren't, the refs called a ticky-tack penalty. You were offsides.
So I'm disappointed.
starts completely undisciplined, and this everyone wants to go, oh, this is McCarthy's fault, this is McCarthy's fault. No, you got guys out there who know what their job is, and jumping early, you got to pay attention. At
Here's
that
this
point, it's
headline
on
I
the
got
players.
in front of me right now, dude.
What's that?
How about this headline? Dallas coach Mike McCarthy says he does not see his future with team as an issue. He feels at ease as of right now. He also states he knows how to win.
I mean, he did win a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers.
Just a little McCarthy update for the people.
Yeah. McCarthy, there's talk. We'll get into this in a second here. And I can't figure out which way I want my hat right now, but and I noticed you're taking your hat off. Apparently it's a bad hat night, but
I guess.
With 14 seconds left, people are like, oh, they never should have ran that play. I have no problem running that play, but Dak has to be heady enough to slide earlier, get the ball to the umpire, let him set it there and spike. And then you give yourself that one last chance from the 30-yard line. That's Dak's fault for not knowing that. It's all in the coaching and the fact that you've got CeeDee Lamb, who was a missing person in that game. And people can say, oh, there was zone coverage. No, they played some zone coverage, but they had a scared corner who hardly plays going against CeeDee Lamb in one-on-one.
They were playing
with a
15
team that's
yards
rushing
off
forward.
of him.
And you're not going to try to get him the ball. Run the regular-ass route tree, and you can hit him a few times. And once that boy gets the ball in his hand, he's dangerous. But
it's true, man.
So after the game, we'll get into this. Cowboys fans chucking shit on the field. And I mean, everyone's like, oh, they're throwing it at their own players. Yeah, they were part of them. But yeah, it started because they were throwing shit at the refs running off field. But then you see their own players running off. Refs have been in the locker room for 30 seconds. They're still chucking shit on the field. Cowboy fans, NFL fans, enough with this stupid shit. I get your team lost. Your team blew it. And Mike McCarthy, does he deserve to come back or does he not?
Yeah.
What would you do?
I'd bring him back. Think of the good things that team did this year. I mean, I know it didn't end quite like you wanted it to, and I know that it was a bonehead mistake. You do got to. You have to understand you're losing your best play caller. If you're looking at that situation in Dallas, but I think you keep him moving forward for just another year. I mean, again, disappointing. Also, something I'll say is like all the people in tiers. It's a super wild card game. You got to stop taking this shit so serious, man. And I get that you spend a lot of money and you go to these games, but man, you got to stop letting it ruin your week and your day. And it's. I mean, I'm a Lions fan, so it's easy for me to say because we've played in like 0 meaningful games. But I just accept it. It's not.
You're right.
It's not the end of the week.
It sucks. Don't get me wrong. It absolutely sucks. But at the same time, we have to remember it's just a game. And when you're going after these dudes and their families, like Neville Gallimore going off on Twitter because people are going after his family. Enough with that shit. Like, these guys are out there, whether you believe it or not. They don't want to lose. They don't care how much money they're. Obviously, the money's fantastic, but they do want to win football games. They do want to be good. They don't want to go out there and be like, oh, we let you down. You know, it's sad for us. We don't care, whatever. We're moving on to Mexico next. Bro, we got way too. I'm looking for something here for the show, and I know I sent it to you, and I'm realizing, like.
You want me to pull it up? I got Twitter messages in front of me right here.
Yeah, I'm going through our messages. I'm trying to find it.
Oh, all right. What was it?
It was we're talking bad fans here, and I brought up Neville Gallimore. I wanted to bring up Cleveland while we're doing it. And what somebody sent to
I got it right here.
Hollywood Higgins. I was going to pull it up so the fans could see.
I guess me having it's not a whole lot of help.
I did send you a email so that you can pull anything up on the show you want. You're part of the team because now you can have the same control I have over here.
Oh, why? Must have missed that email when you sent it.
I sent it like last week, and I just remembered now.
Okay, well, I'll look for that thing.
Here's my message about Mina Kimes' husband looking like grown-up Pokemon. Man, I don't know where it is. Anyway, I know I got it somewhere. It's on here.
I mean, I could read it for you if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead. So I'll set it up. I'm going through Twitter Instagram, And we're talking about bad fans and the fans throwing stuff on the field. People going after Neville Gallimore's family. Stop going after these dudes' family. You want to fight them? Fine. They can handle it. You want to be pissed and whine, and then go back to your job. Do whatever you want. But stop with some of the shit you said. Like this person said to...
How old do you think this person is?
They're at least 20. I'd say 20 or above.
It's got to be in like that 18 to 24 range.
That's exactly where I was thinking is like 18 to 24.
So, all right. So I'll read it.
This is a message sent to Cleveland Browns receiver Rashard Hollywood Higgins.
Okay. So it starts out with a nice FU. And then it says, you don't like the Browns. We already set this up. You like Odell. Get the F out of my city. Claiming Cleveland is a city. You didn't. I'm assuming you say you always know it's ridiculous because there's always a bunch of grammar errors in here.
Yep.
You didn't do shit this year, and you deserve to see your girlfriend disemboweled and beaten in front of you. Oral giver is what I'll end with. Not great. That's not. I just
what the fuck.
What goes through people's mind when they send this stuff? Like,
dude, we are on this show every week talking about how we're Browns fans and Lions fans. Disappointment is our closest friend here with our teams. We have plenty of players who make bonehead stupid mistakes on and off the field. And we're about to get to one of my guys off the field. But I've lost games because some dude wanted to take his helmet off and spike it, and then Colts kick a field goal and win it. All kinds of stupid ways to lose football games. I have never once, even though I love my goddamn team, never once been like, I'm going to rot this guy right now, and I'm just going to tell him I hope his girlfriend, something bad happens to her, and all this other shit.
That's why I know he's like 20. Because, like, adults, for the most part, don't, like, act like that. I hope. I mean,
for the most part.
I do see fans, like, fighting every week in the NFL, and they definitely look like they're old enough to be my age. And so, yeah, that's ridiculous. And people are dumb. It's just, again, like, how are you so upset? Like, what are you? I get your team lost, but like, who the hell cares? Like, listen, it doesn't. We got to stop taking out it. It can't ruin your like my favorite are like watching the videos of people breaking their TVs and shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, dude, you just broke a $900 TV because somebody missed a field goal. It just doesn't seem like if my wife, like when I'm like real into a game and I'm pissed and I'm yelling at the TV, my wife, who doesn't care anything about sports, looks at me like, this dude is a fucking psycho.
What the hell
like,
did I marry
what is he doing? Like, yeah, like, and so that's how those people look to even fans of football. It's like that, like, that's why my wife's like, why are you screaming? They're 0-11. I'm like, okay, yeah, I know, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, it's just like when you take it to that extent, like threatening people, it just is. It's not great.
No, it's absolutely awful, and it's ignorant. Like, this is the worst thing about social media. It is the fact that now you have access to some of these guys, and you can talk to them, and a lot of them hit you back, and you'll have a good conversation, and then you got these people say shit like this, and they make the entire city look bad. And speaking of Cleveland, while we're at it, there's a dude giving Kyrie shit Monday during the Nets game. And Kyrie's like, you ungrateful mothers, I won you a championship. And the guy's retort, a Cleveland fan, his retort, and I'm spitting all over my computer, is, yeah, won. When have we won anything? Ever?
See, I had no problem with the Kyrie deal. Like, if like I feel like he wasn't malicious or anything. Like, no. And that's just good back and forth. Like, when you pay the money for those seats, you're allowed to like jab back and forth, like somewhat respectfully. Yeah,
but have something better than one. Come on now.
Yeah, and not that this is the full coverage basketball show, but the Cavs are good, and the Cavs won that game, and
they did. And they're playing the Bulls tonight with a chance to get into a half game of the one seed.
But the Bulls have everyone out, though. There's no
Cavs are playing without
Spencer
Rondo.
Levine. There's no. Okay.
There's a sentence I never thought I'd say.
That sounds like a Cleveland fan. We're missing Rojo. Dude,
One.
the dude's a walking 2.1 points per game guy. I'm sorry you're missing him.
Listen, Franklin the Turtle's key to our team right now, all right? I like how we're like, oh, we might have a short show tonight. We're like 26 minutes in. We haven't even got to 90% of the show. But yeah, fans, stop being pieces of shit. And speaking of, people are just messed up. We're going to move on here real quick. And
Beach, about 40 miles
we're
north
gonna
of
get
Miami
into
Monday.
this.
McDowell attacked responding officers after 911 dispatchers got a call about a naked man running around a neighborhood, even walking.
You gotta warn people, man.
No, I'm not warning
Children's
anyone,
Learning
dropping
Center.
it on them.
A bystander captured the dust-up between the Cleveland Browns defensive tackle and a sheriff's deputy. It all happened in Deerfield Beach, about 40 miles north of Miami Monday. McDowell attacked responding officers after 911 dispatchers got a call about a naked man running around a neighborhood.
6'6",
walking onto the
295
children's
pound
learning center.
Malik
A bystander
McDowell of the
captured
Cleveland
the dust-up
Browns.
between
Let
the
me get this
Cleveland
muted
Browns
here. 6'6", 295 pound defensive tackle of the Cleveland Browns, Malik McDowell, arrested in Broward County, Florida for brothers walking around naked. And I didn't show you all the unedited footage. That's why I just threw it on you there. But he's right outside a learning center for children. He is butt-ass naked. And at first he was just sitting in the road. Like you're driving down the street and there's a 6'6", 300-pound man just chilling in the road.
That video I sent you.
He's just chasing cars.
They drive. And I know it's probably the guy's probably got a lot going on or whatever, so it's probably not funny. But the guy that drives by, he's just like, "What the?" There's this big giant naked dude just in the middle of the freeway.
And for Malik McDowell, this is not a first-time offense. Like two and a half years ago, he got into a fight with a couple cops in a convenience store, and they ripped that thing up, bull in a china shop style. And this cop, I mean, we talk about de-escalating the situation. We brought it up on this show a million times about how cops need to, learn to de-escalate situations better. This dude gave Malik McDowell, and this cop's like 5'6", 150 pounds.
Oh, dude,
Malik McDowell gets out of the car.
Bro. He had to have been frightened, like
unbelievably so. And Malik McDowell keeps saying, "Just give me your supervisor. Give me your supervisor." He finally gets him out of the car. He tries to talk to him. Says, "Give me your supervisor. Give me your supervisor." Ends up fighting this guy. Another cop shows up, and it's a chick who's not that much bigger than this other cop. He goes for her gun. They still battle. They still de-escalate the situation, say, "I'm going to tase you. I'm going to count down." He gives them chance after chance. And eventually, this resulted in, I believe, 44 days in jail for Malik McDowell. Malik McDowell has also served 11 months in prison for things. And this is all since he's been drafted. He was drafted 35th overall by the Seattle Seahawks. Hardly played for them. Might not even played for them at all, now that I think about it. He had to pay back part of his signing bonus to them because after he got drafted, he had an ATV accident where he had a head injury. Now, all this stuff is happening to him where it's issue after issue. The Cleveland Browns gave him a shot. He played 15 games for the Browns this year. He did pretty well. He is a restricted rights free agent, which means the Cleveland Browns can sign him before anyone has a chance to even look at him. And now he's shown everyone what he looks like, and he looks like he's in damn good shape. Physically. Mentally, we don't know what the hell is going on. Now, his lawyer or his attorney, who deserves a raise, has already come out and said, we think somebody slipped him something. We buying this, or is it a head injury thing that has just gotten worse? Or is he just a messed up dude who fucks around with drugs and has been a completely different person since he got money? What are your thoughts?
So, listen, are we out here believing that, people are slipping professional athletes just drugs? Like, is that what we're doing? And then enough drugs to take down a fucking moose? Because that dude's a large human, right? So, do I believe I think it's a combination that the dude's probably, not 100% mentally stable, but, clearly that's a drugs thing. When you get tased a bunch of times, shit doesn't stop you. That's a drugs thing. And also when you sit naked in the road, that's a drugs thing. That seems like they're in, and I want to accuse the guy essentially, which I'm exactly what I'm doing. So just so we're clear, it's definitely a drugs thing, and what a weird. I always say like the NFL offseason is like the Wild West, man. Some of the shit that comes out between
We've already
now
had 2
and
DUIs on top of this.
yeah, like it's always, but this one was a little bit weird, and yeah. So I don't. Yeah, you're right. The attorney definitely. I didn't know that was the case. That he said that he was slipped something. Nice try, but I don't think
Like,
it's happening.
1:00 in the afternoon on a Monday, like
Right. Tons of people out there just slipping drugs in people's drinks.
Hey, slip all this X in Malik's drink. It would be hilarious when he runs naked down the freeway in Broward County.
Right.
I mean, for this guy, if there is something mentally wrong with him, which there has to be something kind of mentally wrong for him to be in these situations that he's been and give up
I've never been
that
high that I've like even thought about going naked down the highway.
I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean,
I'm willing to bet I never will be.
Yeah, I'm not headed that way anytime soon.
At least I hope nobody slips something in my drink at noon.
If that ever happens to me, there's going to be people calling reports of the Michelin Man running naked down I-90. I mean, it's going to be ridiculous.
Not quite as chiseled as Mr. McDowell.
Slightly less chiseled. I have more body fat in my calf than he does in his body. All right? But for Malik, and the thing for him, and talk about, what's this mean for his NFL future? Listen, his NFL future means absolutely nothing right now because dude is beyond help at this point. He's basically ran out of chances in the NFL, but he will get another chance because what do we know? If you got talent, it's always a roster spot for you, but we don't know when.
And maybe he will, but like he's also not Von Miller, right?
Yes.
He's not like, so his opportunity to come back is going to be longer weighted out than, say, TJ Watt.
But it also might be as a guy you can slide onto your roster because, you might not be out there all the time.
Yeah, but he's also, this is like the third chance now, right?
Yes.
Like, all right, we gave you, this is the second chance. A team gave you an opportunity. Here we are, the third chance. And we're coming off of, some weird stuff. So, like, I don't know. You're right. I think time heals all wounds. And I also think that talent heals all wounds to an extent, but I think that he'll have a harder time coming back and that's common knowledge than a better player. But that's just how the game's set up and how it works.
And for people right now, like, the Browns, what are they going to do? They're already thin at defensive tackle. If the Browns had all their chips in this guy's, if they were pushing all the chips on the table for this guy, then the organization is still a shit show.
Yeah. And I don't think that's the case.
I don't think they were. I don't think Andrew Berry was like, listen, we don't need to look at defensive tackle. We got exclusive rights to Malik McDowell. Ignore everything else. It's going to be him, Sheldon Day, Jordan Elliott, and Tommy Togiai. We're set. We don't need to look at anything else. And then this happens, and Andrew Berry's like, well, I don't know what to do now. But for him, it's time to get things straight. Speaking of things that can't get straightened out, let's talk about the Houston Texans. They decide, since the last show when we talked about all the fired coaches, they decided, hey, you know what? We're going to add to the fired coaches, and we're going to fire our head coach after one season, David Culley, 4-13 record for the Houston Texans. And I was heated when he got fired. I thought this was absolute BS. This guy goes out there with a trash roster for a trash organization, led by Jack Easterby, led by Cal McNair. And David Culley goes out there and gets his team to be competitive. They weren't great because the roster is not good. It was completely ruined by Bill O'Brien. And this guy gets one season to try to turn things around, and you're going to move on from him, even after everyone in the NFL is like, Davis Mills looks like he might be the best rookie quarterback we got. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I doubt he is, but we'll see going forward. And now you're going to switch head coaches all of a sudden on the guy. What are your thoughts on the David Culley getting fired situation?
Don't love it, not shocked. Like, and the reason I say I'm not shocked is they gave him a 2-year deal to start the season, which is typically kind of a low ball deal for a head coach. And And I think it was kind of a pivot year. They knew they had all the shit going on in the background with Deshaun Watson. They knew the roster wasn't any good. They're basically like, okay, let's have this guy come in, and he did do a really good job with that roster that they currently have. And they didn't win a ton of ball games, but they were in a bunch of ball games, and they were. I mean, listen, every year we there's like the hot topic prior to the season is the 0-17 team or the 0-16 team. And like that was what Houston was labeled by people before the season started. So I think that they exceeded expectations. And I just think it was kind of, he was going to have to make it to the damn playoffs with that team to be retained. And I also heard that he kind of wanted to retain all his offensive staff, which it was the worst ranked offense in the league. But I think that report's just kind of a scapegoat for the real reasoning, the fact of the matter that it just was going to be inevitable before the season started. At the end of the season, whether it's fair or unfair is up for debate.
Yeah. And for him to be fired by this organization, whatever reasoning they come up with is garbage. And you can say, oh, he wanted to keep his staff, fine, whatever.
Oh, yeah, it's garbage.
I mean, you can use it. But then they're like, oh, who can we bring in? Who's out there? Is there another guy that's going to come in right off the bat and get that much more out of this team than what Culley got? Probably not. You can talk about Brian Flores. Brian Flores, there's no reason he should go there. Yes, he has a relationship with Nick Caserio. However, that organization is a mess, and he's leaving an organization in Miami that was an absolute mess. So why would Brian Flores want to go there? And for the people that say, oh, well, Deshaun Watson wanted to be coached by Brian Flores, and Brian Flores wants Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is not going back to play for the Houston Texans.
It's an organizational thing, dude.
Cal McNair are still there. And until you get rid of them, it doesn't matter. It's not going to change. They're trash.
Can't just get rid of owners.
Nope.
You know what
doesn't work that way.
Trust me, I've been wanting to for a long time. But you just can't just get rid of them. They're there. Hey. They own the team. So
and it doesn't always work out well. We got rid of one owner who we thought didn't care, and then came in the hillbilly from Tennessee, and we're all like, yeah, we're going to win. And then he's like, 17 coaches fired. And we finally got turned things around like 10 years later. But they're still a joke of an organization. For Houston, where do they go from here? Like, who wants that job, and why would you want that job?
Well, somebody will take the job because it's
one of 32.
One of 32, right? But yeah, no, I mean, when you look at the roster construction, I think Davis Mills is interesting to rock for another year. He's shown that he can win some games. But yeah, there's not a lot there, right? Like look at the roster. Like your best offensive playmaker is Brandon Cooks, who is a concussion away from probably being out of the league. Mm-hmm. And so there's just not a lot there. The cupboard is bare. And so when you look at the coaching jobs, there's no chance that they're getting one of the top guys because there's too many other openings with too many better constructed rosters to even consider to be to Houston's head coach. So are those guys better than Coley's was? Maybe not. I mean, who knows? But like the fact that if you're under the idea, if you're the Houston Texans, that you're bringing in somebody that's going to turn this thing around in quick time, it's just unrealistic expectations, to be honest with you.
I'm with you on that. Let's move on to another organization that got rid of someone this week. It was Mike Mayock getting fired by the Las Vegas Raiders after they get to the playoffs, after they outplayed what anyone expected them to do. Under Mayock, they were 25-24. His first-round picks were absolutely awful. Didn't work out. Clelin Ferrell at 4 was terrible in that first draft.
Remember
Jacobs.
He went so far out of his way to take Ferrell too. Like nobody, like we were like.
Ferrell, I thought was a low first round, early second round guy at best, and then he's been nothing. But then that same draft, you pick up Max Crosby, you balance it out.
Yeah, who's been fantastic. But you can't swing and miss though like that often with a first round pick.
You can't. Especially when you had a first round last year where you had 2 picks, and you go from having those 2 guys, so they're not even on the roster anymore, in Arnett and Ruggs, for different reasons, obviously. Now, this team, they're big in the news right now because they've reached out to Gerard Mayo as a guy they want to interview for their head coaching candidate. Rich Bisaccia is still technically the head coach, but they're already looking at other head coaching candidates. Kind of weird
I think they
situation
have
there.
to, though. Like,
They do.
they can cut off those interviews if they deem that that's something they want to do. But I think you got to get guys on the books right away. Otherwise, so I don't kill him for that. I think they should retain him, but I don't kill him for at least having guys lined up for interviews, right?
Especially when it's a guy who can satisfy the Rooney Rule, because we all know that's what the NFL does first. Let's satisfy that Rooney Rule and go from there, because there's a big name out there that looks like he would take the job, and a guy named Jim Harbaugh. Does Harbaugh take this job?
I don't know, dude. I honestly don't know. I definitely see that realm of possibility, but I just don't know how. I mean, I saw him on recruiting trip today. So it's tough to say. I will say no. I think it's anywhere between that 60-40 kind of percentage that he stays at Michigan or goes to the NFL. I do think that if there's a team he goes to, it will be the Raiders and not the Bears.
Yeah, the better job would be to go to the Bears, I believe. But I see him going to the Raiders. It's the big name. It's the big stadium. It's the big franchise. And it would give him a chance to kind of lift up his name again. And the guy's been closer to winning a Super Bowl than he has been in an NCAA championship.
Yeah.
And I think for Michigan, if you're looking at what Michigan would do, I think Josh Gaddis is the next guy up there. And I think they just stay in-house and go from there. So maybe it doesn't change things recruiting-wise. And maybe Harbaugh has already mentioned that to the guys. But I do think Harbaugh ends up taking this job at some point. And I think we'll see. I mean,
I'd like to see it, right?
I mean, I don't. It's like you sit there and you say, this is my dream job. And all these guys always say that it's their dream job. And then they end up leaving anyway. So who knows what to think about this. But is Harbaugh going to do that much better than what Bisaccia did last year?
No, probably not. I mean, again, I think that they squeezed every ounce of that team that they had out of it. And they also got off to a really hot start, which is kind of been their MO the last few years. But that team also went through a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
And I think, I guess it seems like the locker room really likes him. Bisaccia, not Harbaugh, of course, but no, the answer to me is no.
And I'm sitting over here, his team never hired the interim, but what Bisaccia did was nothing short of a damn miracle. And if Harbaugh comes in and they decide, oh, well, we want to do things this way, and he starts changing things up, there's still talk that they're not sold on Derek Carr. Is it really worth blowing things up when you have a team that they're not that far off if they get a few more players? They need a guy
with Derek Carr, dude.
You can win with Derek Carr. Too.
So so you trade him, and for who? Or it's always like everybody thinks that, like, oh my gosh, there's this sexy asset, wonderful quarterback behind the mystery door or the mystery box.
Yep.
It's just like, no, dude. Derek Carr's a top 12 to 13 quarterback in the league. It's just what it is, and you can win with that.
Who would you rather have, Kirk Cousins or Derek Carr?
Derek Carr.
And Kirk Cousins puts up way better numbers.
Yeah. Well, but again, though,
numbers.
It's a completely different offense too.
It is.
And I also think that Derek Carr, what's he working with? He had a hurt Darren Waller. Henry Ruggs, who's the deep threat, is in prison. Exactly. There's just not a whole lot there. I mean, I understand Hunter Renfrow is a good player, but let's not act like Hunter Renfrow is like some deep downfield threat. He's just a crafty route runner.
Who'd you rather have, Hunter Renfrow or Adam Thielen?
Hunter Renfrow.
At this point,
I love Adam Thielen, but I think Adam Thielen's not the player he was 3 years ago.
No,
and I think Hunter Renfrow is ascending.
Hunter Renfrow was a game changer for them last year. Absolutely unbelievable player. What he did. I mean, this kid came out of Clemson and he was late round draft pick, who everyone looked at as maybe a solid slot receiver, but
they looked at him like every wide receiver.
Yeah,
I mean that's what it is.
I mean, he's probably
pretty good.
He's probably the third best white receiver in the league, if you count Travis Kelce as a receiver.
That's fair.
I mean, Cooper Kupp, Travis Kelce, Hunter Renfrow, Adam Thielen.
Braxton Berrios.
Braxton Berrios. There's your 5. Scotty Miller maybe at 6.
What a squad.
This is a tough list.
Just elite weapons.
Put them all out there, baby.
Yeah, it's elite weapons at your disposal.
Put Peyton Hillis and Mike Allstott in the backfield, and we're ready to roll. Let's move on. Let's talk divisional games. Let's get out of this because, dude, NFL offseason already a mess. Like we said, there's already been 2 DUIs, a Malik McDowell thing. Coaches and GMs getting fired. We'll talk more next week about who's going where. And hopefully one of these coaches has landed a gig by then.
I think let's talk about clarity next week for sure.
Absolutely. But let's get into the games that still are out there. And when we look at the NFC side of things, Tom Brady is older than every other head coach remaining outside.
Cool stat.
Bonkers.
Like that stat.
Absolutely bonkers.
Except his own head coach.
Yeah. Who got fined $50,000 today, running out on the field and smacking his own dude on the head to get him out of a pile. After he yanked a dude out of the pile, which would have been a penalty had the ref seen it. And he's out there, he's what, got a torn Achilles? Like, he's hopping on one bum leg.
Coach is like it's 1980, dude.
Yeah, and he's 70 years old, hopping on one leg, like, going out there, smacking a dude on the head, and he gets fined $50,000 for it. What the? I mean, really? That's what we're finding the guy for? Come on now. But yeah, back into the AFC. First game of the weekend. This is an interesting matchup. It is the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and a defense that we don't know what they're going to have on the offense or on the defensive line. Trey Hendrickson got hurt. Larry Ogunjobi, who's been a stud, is out for this game and probably out for the rest of the playoffs, depending on how far they go. For the Titans, you're at home. You've had your bye. It's January 22nd you're playing on of 2022. 22 years removed from your last Super Bowl appearance.
Oh,
and you get Derrick Henry, number 22, back in the lineup. This is ridiculous as the stat I pulled out last week.
Yeah, with the O's and shit or whatever. Yeah,
but yeah,
for sure it is.
This is 4:30 kickoff on Saturday, our last week with 2 days worth of football. Clete Blakeman will be the lead referee. Nissan Stadium. Bengals go in to Tennessee, number 1 seed. Do the Bengals roar in and take a victory and move to the AFC Championship game, or the Titans ride Derrick Henry, Deontay Foreman, and whoever else Ryan Tannehill hits?
I hate Clete Blakeman, for the record, just to get that out of there. I will take Cincinnati.
Taking Cincinnati.
Yep. Yeah.
You know,
so Tennessee hasn't been great like down the stretch, and I know that they haven't had Derrick Henry, and I'm talking about the last 4 weeks because before that they went on that pretty much incredible run, and I've said on this program that Mike Vrabel deserves Coach of the Year.
Yep.
But for me, it's like you're throwing Derrick Henry right back into the fire with the way things are humming offensively for Cincinnati. I'm going to take the underdog.
That is a big pick. I was thinking about taking Cincinnati if you took Tennessee because, as you guys
want
can see,
Cincinnati to win. Like that's really what it's called.
I'm rooting for Cincinnati in this.
Yeah,
I am rooting for Cincinnati. I did pick Tennessee to go to the Super Bowl. And it is a big
but
deal.
Who cares about that shit, though? You know, nobody cares about that.
But Cincinnati would be really fun to see going to next week.
Yeah.
And I got to take Tennessee because I'm down 3 games here to you already. 3 games down. You basically got this locked up.
I wild card weekend, super wild card weekend was good for me.
5-1 in wild card weekend. Cardinals only team that let you down.
Yeah.
And I was 4-2, let down by the Patriots and the Dallas Cowboys. But for this game, what are you expecting out of this game?
So it's going to be really interesting because I think Cincinnati, like I said last week, they just have so many options offensively that I think that they're not going to have many issues moving the ball against Tennessee. And I worry if Tennessee gets down early, their ability to kind of come back is not maybe what you want it to be. I mean, they want to kind of be steady with the running game. And I also think that Derrick Henry, while he's a superhuman, and if he goes over 100 yards, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Steel plate in his foot.
Yeah, but like if I just see it, I think it'll be a close game. I'll say a 28-21 kind of game, but I do like Cincinnati.
This game is all on Joe Burrow because if you can stay upright, Harold Landry's not hitting you. If you can keep the ball out of Kevin Byard's hand, and you can find those playmakers. Joe Burrow has been unbelievable this year, and
Dude, once
he can
they get him
lead
a couple more like solid foundational offensive linemen,
and this
Joe
is a
Burrow
big
to the
offensive
moon,
lineman
dude.
draft.
To the moon.
And he's out there. He is the swag. He is everything you want in your quarterback. But then he gets out there, and you hear him after the game, and he's like, "No, it doesn't mean anything. I expected to win a game." Like they're like, "What do you think about winning your first playoff game?" I expect to win more. Love that from him. And then he goes in the swag, and he's got the cigar and the little double gun salute with his little swag. And they're like, "What's with the glasses?" He's like, "I think they look cool." Just straight up. That's it. Like, he's not trying to be anything he's not. He just is who he is, and I absolutely love and respect that about him. And this kid is just a baller. Absolute baller. Doesn't matter. I think he's got all the weapons he needs, and I'm with you. If Tennessee gets down, do we trust Ryan Tannehill, who hasn't been very good this year? He has been inconsistent, to really hit A.J. Brown, to hit Julio Jones? Are these guys going to show up? It's going to definitely be interesting.
I'm just done. I just don't want to be done watching Burrow and Jamar Chase. Like, that's all for me. Like, I just don't want to be done with that. I'm not going to want to be done with that to the end of, like, they're just fun to watch because, like, they just have weapons across the board. You're like, oh, they have Higgins. Oh, they're Tyler Boyd's still there. Oh, CJ Uzama's there.
CJ Uzama.
Yeah, it's there's just so many weapons, and then Joe Mixon just had this resurgent year, and he stayed healthy, and it's like I don't want that to end. I'm gonna go with the Bengals.
If the Bengals win this game, it'll be not because they stopped Harold Landry, not because Kevin Byard didn't do anything. I honestly believe that, really looking at it, stopping to Nico Autry and the push up the middle of the pocket is going to be the biggest difference. But yeah, I got to go with Tennessee because I got to catch up to you. I do want Cincinnati to win this game.
Fair.
Our nightcap, a great game, I think, from the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. 8:15 kickoff. Ronald Torbett is your referee for this one, and that is fantastic because I can't pick him out of a lineup, which means he does his job.
How many refs could you pick out of a lineup, though, honestly?
It's got to
be like a few.
Jerome Boger, Clete Blakeman.
I can pick out Clete Blakeman for sure.
I mean, I could probably pick out 5 to 8.
That's more than me. I could do like maybe 4.
I mean, Hockey League, you'll pick him up.
He's retired though. Like, all right. So if we're throwing it, I could definitely at Hockey League. He's the fucking Hulk, dude.
But this one, San Francisco, fresh off that win in Dallas, they're heading to Green Bay to face Aaron Rodgers in the frozen tundra. And I think this is absolutely the worst thing that could have happened to the Green Bay Packers, because I think of all the teams that played last week, this is the last one they wanted to see. What say you, Mr. Ward?
I'm with you. The matchup's not great for Green Bay. Still have no problem picking Green Bay. Green Bay is one of the weird teams, and we talked about it a little last week. They're getting healthier. Like, Bakhtiari got some play in the last game of the year against the Lions. Is Darius Smith coming back? Like, they're getting healthy at the right time. They had the bye week. They have the better quarterback. For me, I love everything that San Francisco has done with Deebo Samuel. They've literally changed kind of the way he's a running back. He's a wide receiver. He's in the slot. He's on the outside.
Like, he's out playmaker.
Yeah, like, dude just out there playing football, like in the yard. Like, and they've done a great job. But again, their injuries. I know Fred Warner is going to play. For me, I just think that the Green Bay Packers have too much offense in this game. So I will take the Packers to win. The line, which I'm sure we'll get to here in a couple minutes, is a little weird. Not sure I'm going to bet this game, but overall, I'll take Green Bay.
This game, it sets up like exactly the way it's set up for Dallas. San Francisco, they can blitz just 4 guys. They can run, and they'll throw a blitz every now and then with 5 or 6. But for the most part, they can rush 4 guys and get to your quarterback. The difference in this game is that how I brought up CeeDee Lamb being single covered and no one threw the ball to him, Aaron Rodgers doesn't care. You can triple cover Devontae Adams. He'll drop that ball where no one else can touch it but Devontae Adams, and he'll get that ball in there. Now, Green Bay is going to struggle in this game more so than they would have with Dallas. I think they would have blown Dallas out of the water. But I can't pick San Francisco in this, even though I would like to. With Zadarius Smith coming back, with Bakhtiari there, with Cobb coming back, another weapon that is comfortable for Aaron Rodgers. With Aaron Jones and Dylan, in that running game, I think they can do just enough. I think this is going to be a tight game. I'm thinking like 27-23 type of game. But what it comes down to is Aaron Rodgers is just so much better than anyone else on that field.
MVP.
And I can't trust Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
I can't. If I could trust Jimmy Garoppolo just a pinch more, I think San Francisco wins this game.
How about
for them to win this game?
Adams, dude. 123 catches, 1,550 yards, 11 touchdowns. The guy every year is just a beast.
And that's incredible. And I'm looking across from him at Deebo Samuel, 77 catches, 1,405 yards, averaged 18.2 yards a catch, where Devontae was still at 12.6. Amazing at 12.6. But to say how good Deebo was, he was just more explosive on that.
Yeah.
But I think they can – you need Brandon Ayuk to show up in this game. You need Elijah Mitchell to show up in this game and make big runs. You need to go all the way down your running back list. You need everyone to help out because they are going to key so much on Deebo. And they're not going to stop Deebo 100%, but you need to help Jimmy in that way, and you need to find someone else to take over. Ayuk has to have the game of his life for them to win this game. But I'm going to take San Francisco, even though I don't want to because I wanted to go against you. I'm taking Green Bay. I'm taking Green Bay. I said the wrong thing. I didn't want to take San Francisco.
It's like you just went off on how you couldn't take San Francisco, and then you're like, I will take San Francisco.
That was a slip of the tongue.
Yeah, you pivoted.
And now we move on to our first game on Sunday, a game where this is big for your team rocking the Lions shirt. If the Rams lose this game, you can get picked 25. If they win this game, you get picked 29 or later. You're going to be somewhere between 25 and 32 right now. This is the Los Angeles Rams traveling to the East Coast. Raymond James Stadium. Referee Sean Hockley.
Is he as jacked as his dad?
I don't know.
Is that his dad or is that his brother?
We're going to say it's his dad.
Okay.
So you heard it here first. Sean Hockley's dad is that Hockley.
Something tells me Sean Hockley moved up the ref ranks probably at an accelerated speed. Because
you think it had something to do with his last name?
I do. I do.
The Rams lead the all-time series here, 16-9. Lead in the playoffs 2-0. Last time these two teams faced at this site last year, Rams won 27-24. Last time these two teams played earlier this season, September 26, Rams 34, Buccaneers 24. Rams have had the Buccaneers number even with the GOAT in Tom Brady at 56 years old still out there. This is going to be an interesting game. Probably, I don't know, man. This is tough. I don't know which way I want to go. What say you?
I'll take the Rams.
You're going to take the Rams.
Yeah. I think Cam Akers being back, and I know how potent Tampa's rush defense is, but I do think that having kind of that 1-2 punch at this point with him and Sony Michel, I think they're able to run the ball a little bit, and they're going to have to. The Buccaneers pretty much put out the running game. If they take them out, they can't run, then the Buccaneers will win because that forces Matt Stafford to kind of, he's going to have turnovers, right, in that situation. But I think with Cam Akers back, I think their ability to run the ball as well as pass it. And I do think Antonio Brown not being there is significant, as funny as it may sound. With Godwin being out, I mean, we know how good Mike Evans is, but Antonio Brown was kind of that guy, right? Like he was the guy that you could trust to throw to. You had him and Mike Evans. You could only key in on one guy. Yep. Where I think defensively now, Jalen Ramsey can kind of take Mike Evans out to an extent, of course. It just kind of it limits what they can do offensively, in my opinion. We'll see how healthy Leonard Fournette is, but for me, I'll take the Rams. Man, I'm real torn. I was so happy to see Matt Stafford win a playoff game. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it was like I wouldn't mind him losing because of the draft pick. But man, to be honest with you, I'm cool with seeing Stafford make a little noise in the playoffs, just because he was there for 12 years, right? You don't really understand because your quarterbacks leave after one, but
hey, we've had Baker for 4. And everyone wants to get rid of him.
Yeah, and you're all right, Baker's we like Baker. But Matt Stafford, it's I'm okay with them doing all right. I'm okay with them moving on for one more week. And then they got to stop that shit. Because if Matt Stafford wins a Super Bowl, then I'm pissed. I'm okay if he wins some playoff. If he wins a Super Bowl, then I'm not happy.
How'd you feel about the picture of him and Marvin Jones
I love
getting
that.
together? Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
boys.
it had to be weird for Lions fans to see, but those
Those
dudes.
well, but like Lions fans know, like that those two families have been tight for years, right? So like Kelly and Marvin's wife get along great, and so like they hang out all the time. Not that I pay attention, but you know what I'm saying, I just know.
This is DMZ over there, baby.
Yeah, I know. That's right. Follow me for super updates on the Stafford and the Joneses.
That's at Detroit Dave 7 on Twitter.
Yeah.
Make sure you follow that.
You won't
But
say that.
back to football here. That was a good picture to see, and I'm happy Staff got the win because I think he's always had a bad rap because I don't think his teams are that great that he led to the playoffs. They were good, but they weren't that great. And I mean, I had to ask you who really the best defensive player was because you look at the defense he has now on the other side of the ball there, and that defense is loaded. And you're going to be
Tip the
back real
cap
quick
for
with
them
Sue.
for just going all in, right? Tip the cap. Like they blew all their picks on Stafford. They blew all their picks on Von Miller. Like good for them, dude. If it works, great. Like at least go for it. Like who the hell cares? Like the NFL, like our teams haven't been good our entire lifetimes. So like if we could go after it for 1 year and I can enjoy that run, then it's worth it, dude. What do you mean?
Yeah. That's why people talk about, the Marlins, what they've done to win their titles. They went all in the 1 year to just throw all the money in. Like, give me that. If my Indians want to, my Guardians want to, I can't, no, fuck that. The Indians, if they would have won a World Series, I would have bawled my eyes out. I ain't going to lie to you. But, I mean, do it. Go in. We talk about the mystery box all the time. And we talk about our teams, how crap they've been. We've had all the draft picks in the world, and we've done absolutely nothing with them for years.
Exactly. But fans covet draft picks. Like it's the weirdest shit to me, dude. Like some people are like, I wouldn't give up. So the Eagles fan, I wouldn't give up 2 first-round picks for Russell Wilson. And I say, okay. Best case scenario, one of those draft picks is Russell Wilson, who takes time to develop. But like you can get Russell Wilson now. And you could have
him. It could be Russell Wilson.
Like if you're the Raiders, like look at your first round picks. You could give us 2 of those, which you continue to fuck up, and you could have Russell Wilson. Like I can't give you Russell Wilson. Like again, these draft picks are so like valued, and I get some are they're game changers and they change your franchise for a long time, but those are so minimal.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like stop, like what, like stop, just take the player.
The
player is proven. The mystery box is a mystery box, and it could be the player.
Most first round picks are mystery boxes anyway, even if you know who the guy is, because you're going based on what they could be. It's later if you're hitting in the later rounds, like hitting with a Max Crosby, based on what guys already are, that's what you're looking at in the later rounds. These guys, you know exactly what you're getting out of them, what they're going to be. First round guys, you take guys like Cameron Wembley, who the Browns took a few years ago, had all the talent in the world, could have been a really good edge rusher, never really developed anymore, but he had that talent. Your team took Ezekiel Ansah, who had all that talent, all that ability, but never really put it together to be that dominant factor everyone thought he was going to be. We do this all the time. So yeah, for you to trade the trade the picks for guys you already know what you're getting, it can work out really well, and you can do that and still have picks 2 through 7. Now for the Rams,
they threw everything in the NBA draft, right? Like there's not much talent in the second round of the NBA draft. This is the NFL draft. Like you're finding guys like the Sun God, Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 4th round. Like the greatest quarterback ever was found in the 6th or 7th round,
199.
Right? So, yeah. So again, that's just kind of a rant. So we can move on to the bit. Who are you taking?
This game's weird for me. I think the Rams can win it easy, but that's only if Tampa Bay doesn't stick to the run. If Tampa Bay makes Tom Brady drop back with Von Miller, Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd hitting them at all times, they're going to lose this game. And that's exactly the issue they had earlier this season.
This team's way more vulnerable than last year's, in my opinion.
It is. And Tampa now, they're getting playoff Lenny back. If Lenny can run the football, if you can get something out of Gio Bernard in the screen game, if Keshawn Vaughn can do something, if you can get anything out of your run game, you can win this game. I do think the Rams win, But I'm going to take Tampa because I picked them to go to the Super Bowl, and I got to go against you. So I am going to take Tampa in this game. But I think this is probably the most fun game of the weekend.
I like it.
Moving on to our final game. And also, this is our Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth chair slide game of the week sliding in there because they're at a 3 o'clock start.
It's Josh Allen. This is a guy.
Whew. Josh Allen. What a game he had last week. Kansas City, they're traveling into Kansas City, who they watched win it last year. And Stephon Diggs still has that picture of him just standing there watching the celebration. And I believe one of the offensive linemen still has it as his screensaver on his phone for Buffalo.
TMZ Jeremy there.
Yeah, we got a little bit. We can go that way. Listen, we're going to change this whole show next week. Y'all are going to come in and it's going to be like all behind the scenes. Breaking news. Jalen Ramsey took 3 shits today. Is he going to be out for practice? It's like the stupidest shit ever. But anyway, we got Buffalo and Kansas City. That is our game ender of the week here. It is our nightcap on Sunday night. Referee John Hussey, who I couldn't pick out of a lineup. It could be Hussey. It could be Hussey. But I'm going to call him Hussey. We're going with John Hussey. Johnny Hussey, baby. Anyway, this one. Last time they played.
Big fan of the 6:30 kick. Just want to say, big fan of the 6:30 kick.
Yep.
Don't leave me up till midnight. Respect that. Thanks, Goodell.
Perfect. It's a nice one. Have that crock pot meal ready to go.
I'm going top golfing for the first time in Cleveland on Sunday. So
nice.
Doing it at noon. So everything's lining up perfectly for a nice Sunday for me.
You'll be set up. That's good. At noon, you'll be home by the time the first game kicks off.
Yep.
That's a nice setup. You're setting up for a perfect freaking weekend.
I am.
What you got a plan for dinner that night yet? You got something in the crock pot? What are we thinking?
So the wife and I are probably we're taking a date day, I guess.
Nice.
So we're just probably gonna do whatever we want. Maybe have like a little boozy lunch. Wouldn't be terrible. So we'll see, but that's all we got. I mean,
nice.
It's basically top golf.
We need a report after. We need one for next week.
I should add some context. It's like a birthday party I'm going to.
Okay.
For one of my wife's friends. So there's gonna be like a bunch of people top golfing.
Nice.
It's not just gonna be me. I told my wife, I said I'm gonna charge 30 people $30 for a lesson for everybody there. She's like, oh, don't you won't. I'm like, Jesus God, I'm just kidding. Like, I'm not gonna go do that.
I'm just kidding. I'm gonna charge him 50.
Yeah,
anyway.
Right. Exactly.
4 beers in, you're like, listen, you're not very good, but I can make you good. Come here.
Anyway, I'm taking the Bills, dude. I'm sorry to get offline here. I'm taking the
Venmo
Bills.
Venmo me. All right.
They were my Super Bowl pick, which I felt kind of somewhat uncomfortable down the stretch, but last week was really good. And I do think that this is kind of the revenge Steph Diggs game for me. I think Steph Diggs has a big game. And I know that the Chiefs have been playing great, of course, down the stretch. They were really kind of Jack one high earlier in the year. So I'll stick with my gut. I'll take Buffalo.
Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say, listen, this should be a really fun game. I think we got so many fun games this weekend. I want this.
The whole slate's perfect, dude. The whole slate
no
is
defense,
money,
no defense whatsoever. I want this just to be a friggin' shootout,
like a good old 48-43 piece.
Yeah, give me something like that. Like, give me what they scored last week, a 47-42. No punts, just let's kill it. Let's have fun out there. Let's have big long runs. Let's have Diggs go off.
Carnage. You just want
I want some fun.
To hell with defenses. Okay.
Defense overrated right now. Let's have some fun.
Which means defense. This is going to be like a 13-10 game.
3-2.
like just since you want so much offense, it's like that's how it works. Like when you're playing like DFS football, you're like, oh, this game's a shootout, and it's like it's 6-3 at half. You're like, oh, all right, well, I guess this game's not a shootout. This feels more like Georgia Bama.
And the thing is, this game is going to be dependent on which defense steps up. That's all it is, because the offense are going to score points. Chris Jones, he's going to be the difference maker. Is going to be who's the guy who's going to step up for the defense? Is going to be the safeties, the 2 great safeties for Buffalo. What's it going to be? Who steps up to win it? That should be interesting. It's a lot of fun. I can't wait.
The turnover battle, dude. The turnover battle.
So you took Cincinnati, Green Bay, the Rams, and the Bills. I took Tennessee, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and KC. We got a fun weekend of football.
We could potentially be even next week.
We could, or you could be
way
ahead. And I'll be like, listen, we're gonna go on. We're gonna see who wins the Pro Bowl. That's gonna be worth 2.
Right. You're gonna be betting the Hall of Fame game next season to count for this year.
Listen, last year came down to the Super Bowl. We were close.
Well, it's been close too, but you've clearly taken a very aggressive strategy. Yeah. We're still 2 more weeks of this thing.
And I mean, I can't keep up with the guys. 37-22 against the spread this season. Of course, Ward's Wagers. Make sure you are always tuning into this part of the show because Drew just absolutely kills it with the Ward's Wagers. Brother, what do you got for us this week?
Yeah, so just to kind of pivot off of this is cool.
Woo! There. You want to dodge it some more? Let's put you in 4.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's like watching you at Topgolf at the bar with the full
I'll get dizzy. So I'm kind of going to pivot or just kind of go with the games that I picked. So I'll take the Bengals plus 3.5. I'm actually taking 3 road teams here, which is questionable as I talk it out loud. Staying away from the Packers 49ers. Green Bay -6 is kind of too generous for me. I will take the Rams plus 3, and then I'll take the Bills plus 1.5. So Bengals plus 3.5, Rams plus 3, and the Buffalo Bills.
Out of those 3, which is your lock?
None of them.
None of them?
Yeah.
What's the over-under on the Bills and Chiefs?
The over-under, 54.5.
Oh, I got over on that all day. That's my wager this week. Take the over.
Let's throw it in. We'll throw in Bills, Chiefs, over 54.5.
I feel good about that one.
Now you're going to start bringing down my Ward's Wagers record, but I actually do like that bet.
Even though we both said, we want it to be that way, but it's going to be a 6-3 game.
Right. So now it's confirmed that that's going to be the case.
It's going to be a Royals Mets game by the end of it.
I'm gonna throw $20 on it, and
dude, listen, Ohio. I know we got it coming maybe in July, but we need to speed this up a little bit. You need to get sports betting apps done because I'm sick of calling people, texting people out of state.
Yeah, another state. It sucks, but yeah. So that'll be it. It'll be a good weekend.
It should be a good weekend. Got a lot of good stuff going on this weekend. Hey, for those of you watching and listening, remember you can catch us here every Wednesday live on our YouTube page, live on my Twitter at SummerrealCLE. That is the Periscope spot. Follow Drew at DetroitDave7 on Twitter. Check us out on Facebook, fb.me/FCFSpod. Over there, you can get all of our podcasts, which show up on Spotify, iHeart, Google Pods, Apple Pods, you name it. We are all over the place. You can also watch the re-air of the show there. And we're doing TikTok now. And I figured out a little thing we're going to start doing with TikTok. We're going to get clips of the show out there. We're going to put down some recipes for tailgating. We're going to do all kinds of fun stuff. And if you go to our TikTok page at FCFS Pod, you can listen to some story time I got posted up there. You can watch some of my ridiculous
please do.
Yeah, story time is ridiculous up there right now. But even more ridiculous than my story time on there is my my press conferences for my fantasy team that I did for a couple weeks. And I realized I can't stick with that because I had to be way too serious about it. And it was just way too much. And my kids were looking at me like I was a psycho. So that's our TikTok. Also, coming up on Instagram, we might have something coming up for the postseason. We'll see if it works out. I will let you all know soon. I haven't even talked to Drew about this yet. But I just came up with it now because I just got a text that it could work. And we'll go from there. But without further ado, unless you got anything else to add, we're going to be out of here tonight. What else you want to talk about? Anything?
No, man. I'm good. Everybody have a good week. Let's enjoy this because it's coming to an end.
It sucks, dude. This is the last week. Like I said it to my kids. I'm like, you guys will be happy. This is the last week. I have 2 different days to watch football.
I'm honestly been bummed there wasn't Thursday night football, right?
And we make fun of Thursday night football.
But football. Yeah, but it's still football.
I'm down for some action.
I can bet DFS on it, so it's still fun to me.
It is still fun. And I was going to add something else to that, but it doesn't matter. We'll get into it next week. Oh, and don't forget, check out Drew every Monday at DetroitDave7. Make sure you check him out on his golf show, The Approach Podcast, I believe, 7:30.
Yeah, man.
Check that out. Good stuff as always. You want golf tips and golf swing lessons? Hit Hit him up on Twitter. Email wardgolf87@yahoo.com, I believe. I really got to write this down. I had it all written down. I knocked out my paper, so I'm just going off the top of my head. So if I get anything wrong, make sure you're correcting me. But
you did good. You did
without
good.
further ado, remember, as always, this is a full coverage football show, and if you live the life you love the life you live. Good night, kids.